Hey guys, so I've gotten a couple of requests to talk about stance and rope management at the belay. We're at here a little fake top rope, or well, a single pitch area, but we're gonna act like it's a multi-pitch. What I've done right now is I've just finished leading up. I set up my anchor right here. I'm using my classic quad. I've clove hitched myself in on this, and I went ahead and preloaded my ATC onto the anchor here. I do have this extra strand right here, which is for my cameraman, so they don't fall off the cliff. So you just gotta imagine that that's not there. All right, so first things really with rope management is you gotta look at your options. Here at this stance, we have a couple of options. One is I have this big platform right here. So now that I'm off belay and I'm starting to pull up the rope, I can literally just pull up the rope and pile it right at my feet right here. It is worth the time to sort of make a nice stack, so that way I could end up pancake flipping this for if I were leading off on the next pitch. Okay, so my partner just said that's me on the rope. This is all my extra pile, so I go up, load them into my belay device as I would. I can say on belay and they're good to climb up. Okay, so now my imaginary partner is a little bit below me. I went ahead and clove hitched them into the anchor because they're done climbing the pitch. I can take this rope out of my ATC and retrieve that device off of the anchor. Everything's pretty much the same as in any of my other videos. So now my options or our options as a team for this next pitch is they climb up, which of course then I would just grab the backside of their clove hitch, put them on belay, and then the rope coming off of my stack will just feed straight off the top. So that's no problem. This is kind of like a very efficient way because you don't have to deal with much stacking of the rope. It's not that complicated. However, if I were leading the next pitch, you notice my end of the rope is at the bottom of the stack, and so I got to deal with that in order to help my partner give a good belay. And so this is what we call the pancake flip. You like to find the handle of the spatula, you sort of bundle up the rope and flip it just like that. Now the thinner the rope and the tighter the pile, the easier it is to get that pancake stack good, but overall it just takes practice. If you're climbing with two ropes, like twin ropes or two single ropes, pretty much impossible to get a good pancake flip. So at that point you'd be better off just restacking the ropes. There are a number of times where I would choose to just reflake the rope with my end on top too. Just this situation allows for a good pancake flip. And you can see now, if I go to the back end of my clove hitch, now my end is playing off of the top of the rope, and it's easier for my belayer to feed out slack as I climb up on the next pitch. All right, so the other way to deal with coils while you're at a stance is the lap coil method. And so some folks, all right, going back to the same scenario, I led up, I clove hitched myself into the anchor, and now I'm back here. I shut it off belay. And now what I can do, what some folks like to do is they just immediately grab the rope and start coiling, but it does offer this big loop that goes all the way back up to your clove hitch. People in the guiding world like to call this the Bermuda Triangle. So one way to deal with that is just to pull rope through your belay loop and your knot loop like that, and that sort of puts both of these strands, the front side and the back side of your clove hitch, together. If you're worried about that not staying, you can tie a little knot. Sometimes I do that if I'm climbing with two ropes, but if you're climbing with one rope, generally just slipping it through like that is enough. And now I can start stacking the rope or lap coiling my rope. This is the way I like to do it. Other people may do it another way. And people will also have different opinions on this. Different things work. Some people like to have longer loops with progressively them getting shorter. If you are going to trade over to your other partner and they're gonna belay you while you lead up the pitch, then you want to make shorter loops going to longer, because when you flip the stack, then it works out. Me personally, that's just too much to think about, so I just make loops usually down to somewhere in my lower shins, maybe my ankles, and I keep them all the same length. Sometimes I'll go shorter than this, like down to my knee or something, but I just go as far down as I can without the rope getting caught up on the rocks or branches or whatever. So I just hit my climber now. They said that's me. All the extra rope is right here on my lap. I loaded up my ATC up there, and now I can say belay on, and then they can climb up. As they climb up, I like to maybe get a decent sized loop like this underneath me. And I like to just sort of keep on measuring it out to that same length roughly. I'm just going to keep on keeping the loops equalized. But the important thing to remember here is don't let stacking the rope get in the way of giving a good belay to your climber. So if you have to stack it up, sometimes you can put it on your foot or whatever if you're on a bad ledge. The priority is the climber. The priority is not the rope stack. When my climber is at the anchor, and if they're going to lead the next pitch, all I have to do is just push this rope coil up right here and grab either my ATC at the anchor, or usually I lead belay with like a gree-gree or something. Alright, so I loaded up my gree-gree, all ready to go, and then I can pay out slack to them as they climb up. One thing that's nice is whatever side your dominant or your brake hand is on. So if I was belaying with my left brake hand, I would, once I find the stack, I would just sort of keep ahead of my climber and pull a big loop off. You see how that goes all the way down there? And then now I can continue feeding rope out to my climber while they go up the cliff. If it were my right hand, then I would just do the same thing, only on the right side of the loop. So that way I could manage feeding rope out to my climber. A lot of things I say to my clients and my friends when they're doing this technique for the first time is don't be afraid to switch your brake hands. So, I'm switching my brake hand where I grab the strand with one hand and then let go with the other. I'm not doing this number. Now, this is an exaggerated version, but people will do this. So in this point, no matter what device you're belaying with, you're never exposing the climber to being dropped if they were to fall, because you always have a brake hand on the brake strand. So don't be afraid to actually switch your brake hand if it makes it easier to flip the coil around, or just to deal with this coil, because it does add a little extra bit of confusion than if it's stacked at your feet. As long as you're keeping a good belay, you can sort of find your own system that doesn't involve switching your belay hands. That may involve an awkward reach around or anything like that, but the important part is to keep that good belay. Another pitfall some folks run into is pulling the rope right off of these piles. Sometimes the rope can get snagged in other strands of the rope, and so if you lift you got to just be careful that if this happens, you do got to go around, take those strands of rope out, and then flip it off. If you just keep on pulling the rope through and it's getting tangled up in itself, that's going to catch up with you eventually and may involve some waiting time for the climber above while you organize your mess below. This is especially critical when you're belaying with twin ropes or half ropes, because just the extra amount of rope can get tangled up a lot more in itself. As you feed out rope and you only have like half the rope or less on your harness, it'll get a lot more simple. Alright, so the other method, if you're the one who's going to climb up and you have the ropes on your harness, before you hand these off to your friend, which you'll notice how you can just pick the rope up and then move it around, is you have to flip it. There we go. Just by doing that, now my end, which is right here, is on top of the stack and will feed out easier when my friend's belaying me. I can easily just pick this rope up and drape it over their leash to the anchor, and then they're good to belay. Well guys, thanks for watching my video. Just remember, like, these rope skills take a long time to get good at, and everyone has trouble at the start. So really all that you need is practice and exposure doing this, and then just take your time with the rope stacking. Don't do a crappy job, because it will come back to bite you in the ass. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Gopher snake here. He's probably 4 feet long, I'd say.
That's a huge one.
He's so pretty. Okay, I'm gonna go over this way so I can get Ryan in there for comparison size. We need our resident Australian here.
Wow.
So pretty.
Look at him go.
Hey, buddy. So pretty.